The latest episode of Married at First Sight UK has left viewers absolutely baffled. And honestly, nobody knows what to make of what just happened between Sarah and Dean. After weeks of watching Sarah publicly humiliate her husband with cruel comments about his weight and calling him a Care Bear, the October 2nd episode delivered a plot twist that nobody saw coming. Sarah suddenly decided to get intimate with Dean, desperately trying to ignite their sexual spark, just days after being called out by the experts for her disrespectful behaviour. The timing couldn't be more suspicious, and fans are asking the obvious question: is this genuine change, or is Sarah just doing damage control after facing massive public backlash for her cruel treatment of Dean? To understand just how shocking this turn of events is, we need to look at where Sarah and Dean were just a few days ago. Sarah had spent weeks making Dean's life miserable with her constant rejection and mean-spirited comments. She told anyone who would listen that she wasn't attracted to her husband, called him a Care Bear to dismiss his masculinity, and even shared private details about their relationship that should have stayed between them. The worst part was watching her laugh about Dean with the other brides, while he was trying his best to make their marriage work. The situation reached its breaking point when the experts finally stepped in to call out Sarah's behaviour. Paul C. Brunson was furious with her disrespectful treatment of Dean, and the other experts made it clear that her conduct was completely unacceptable. When Sarah was confronted about her cruel comments, she broke down in tears, but they seemed more like tears of self-pity than genuine remorse for the pain she had caused Dean. The whole confrontation felt like Sarah was more upset about being called out than about actually hurting her husband. Dean's reaction to learning about Sarah's behind-the-back comments was heartbreaking to watch. This is a man who has struggled with weight issues his entire life and has talked openly about being the fat kid at school who didn't get the girls. Having his own wife publicly mock him and share his insecurities with strangers was like his worst nightmare coming true. He told the cameras that hearing about Sarah's disrespect had caught him off guard and that "it does hurt me." Despite everything, Dean said he was still willing to try to make their marriage work, showing a level of patience and forgiveness that Sarah definitely didn't deserve. The public reaction to Sarah's behaviour was swift and brutal. Social media was flooded with angry comments from viewers calling her out for her cruelty and lack of basic human decency. Fans were disgusted by her treatment of Dean, and many were calling for her to be removed from the show. The backlash was so intense that both Sarah and Dean felt the need to break their social media silence on October 1st to address the situation. Dean spoke out about the fat-shaming comments he had endured, while Sarah tried to defend herself after being criticised by experts and viewers alike. Then came the October 2nd episode, and everything changed in the most unexpected way. Suddenly, Sarah was trying to get intimate with Dean, desperately attempting to create some kind of sexual spark between them. After weeks of rejection, cruel comments, and public humiliation, Sarah was now acting like she was attracted to her husband and wanted to make their physical relationship work. The timing couldn't have been more obvious. This sudden change happened right after she faced massive criticism from the experts and the public. Watching Sarah's sudden U-turn was uncomfortable for so many reasons. This is the same woman who had been calling Dean a Care Bear and making fun of his weight just days earlier. Now she was trying to be intimate with him like nothing had happened. The whole thing felt forced and fake, like Sarah was going through the motions because she knew she had to do something to save face after being publicly shamed for her behaviour. What made the situation even more concerning was watching Dean's reaction to Sarah's sudden change. This is a man who has been starved of affection and validation from his wife for weeks. He's been dealing with constant rejection and cruel comments about his appearance. So when Sarah suddenly showed him some physical attention, of course he was going to respond positively. But it felt like Dean was being emotionally manipulated by someone who had just spent weeks tearing down his confidence and self-worth. The question that everyone is asking is whether Sarah's change is genuine or if she's just doing damage control. The timing is incredibly suspicious. She goes from publicly humiliating Dean to suddenly wanting to be intimate with him right after being called out by the experts. It feels like Sarah realised she was being painted as the villain of the season and decided she needed to do something dramatic to change the narrative. Getting intimate with Dean was the quickest way to make it look like she was actually trying to make their marriage work. But here's the problem with Sarah's sudden change. It doesn't address any of the underlying issues that led to her cruel behaviour in the first place. She hasn't apologised for calling Dean a Care Bear. She hasn't taken responsibility for sharing private details about their relationship with other people. She hasn't shown any genuine remorse for the pain she caused him by mocking his weight and appearance. Instead, she's just trying to skip over all of that and pretend like everything is fine now because they're being physical. The whole situation raises serious questions about what's really going on in Sarah's head. Is she capable of genuine attraction to Dean, or is she just going through the motions because she knows she has to? Can someone who was so cruel and dismissive just days earlier suddenly develop real feelings for their partner? Or is this all just an act designed to make her look better on camera and avoid further criticism from the experts and viewers? What's particularly concerning is how this might affect Dean's emotional well-being. He's already been through so much rejection and humiliation from Sarah. Now he's getting mixed signals from a woman who is just publicly mocking him. This kind of emotional whiplash can be incredibly damaging, especially for someone who already struggles with confidence and self-worth. Dean deserves consistency and genuine affection, not someone who only shows him attention when it's convenient for her image. The experts are going to have a difficult job figuring out what to do with Sarah and Dean going forward. On one hand, Sarah is finally showing some physical interest in her husband, which is what everyone has been hoping for. On the other hand, the timing and circumstances make it seem like this change isn't genuine. How do you help a couple work through their issues when one person's behaviour seems calculated rather than authentic? Fans are already predicting that Sarah's sudden change won't last. Many viewers think she's only doing this because she was publicly shamed, and that once the heat dies down, she'll go back to her old behaviour. Others are worried that Dean is being set up for even more heartbreak when Sarah inevitably pulls away again. The consensus seems to be that this intimacy is too little, too late, and that Sarah's previous behaviour has already done too much damage to their relationship. As we move forward in the experiment, the big question is whether Sarah can maintain this new attitude or if her true feelings will come out again. Can someone who was so publicly cruel and dismissive really change overnight? Or is this just a temporary performance designed to save her reputation? For Dean's sake, we hope that if Sarah isn't genuinely interested in making their marriage work, she'll be honest about it instead of continuing to play with his emotions. He's been through enough already, and he deserves better than someone who only shows him affection when it's convenient for her image.